Good morning. So I'm posting this video from the Valley Forge National Park. If you look to my right, you can see the National Memorial Arch. It was built to commemorate the encampment that took place here between 1777 and 1778, I believe. It was led by George Washington, who later on became the first president of the United States. So today in this video, I want to compare and contrast Philadelphia and Kochi. So when I posted my first video, a lot of you commented, wanted to know why I'm moving from a city like Philly, which is like a world-class city, one of the, 6 or 7 biggest cities in the United States, and why am I moving to Kochi instead? So I want to list a few things that I considered, and I want to think about that. I want you to think about that and let me know in my comments. Okay. So the first thing when you talk about retirement, or when you come to a point where your income is no longer there, you are living on a fixed income, the most important point at that stage is housing. So in Kochi, as you might know, I already have an apartment which is fully paid for. So I won't have a mortgage or a rent when I am in Kochi. But if I continue living in Philadelphia, I will still have a mortgage for the foreseeable future, right? And the mortgage, even though my apartment is very small, the mortgage is approximately $2,000 a month, and that is almost $24,000 a year. So if you take that simple comparison, you will see, I will gain a lot of money just by moving to Kochi. Okay, so let's say you do not have an apartment in Kochi and you want to rent. The apartment community where I am living, you can easily rent similar apartments for about $300 a month. It's a beautiful 3-bedroom apartment. The 2 bedrooms are pretty big. The 3rd bedroom is slightly small, but it has a nice living room, and most importantly, it has a fantastic view. It faces the backwaters. Okay, so that's the first point. So the second issue is taxes and fees, etc. Okay, so let's say you pay off the Philadelphia. Let's say I paid off the Philadelphia apartment. I still owe property taxes, I still owe condo fees, and I still owe assessment. The condo fees is already over $600 a month. The property taxes is already over $350 a month, and the special assessments typically is a couple of $100 a month. So even if you pay off your mortgage, you are still going to have $1,000 plus payment every month towards your apartment, as long as you own the apartment. Let's say you rent this apartment. Okay, so the rental rate for my apartment, it's a junior 1-bedroom apartment. It's a very small apartment, but the rent is around $2,200 a month. So you can see that difference. So let's say you're on a fixed income. When you look at your house payment or apartment payment and the taxes and fees, there is no comparison. The taxes in Kochi are very low. The condo fees is something like $50 a month, and the special assessments, which is very rare, those are all a couple of $100 here and there. I would say maybe like $100 or $150 a year is what they have for other maintenance that is not covered by the condo fees. So those are the 2 key points. The third one is healthcare. So currently my healthcare payment is about $625 a month. This does not include vision and dental. Okay, so let's say you go to a specialist. I went to a specialist last week, and the payment, out-of-pocket payment was $180. So let's say you see a specialist once a month, which is to be expected when you are getting old and when you are reaching the retirement age. Your insurance and out-of-pocket payments alone come to about $800 a month. Compare this to Kochi. In Kochi, in India, I have a health insurance that is fully paid for. I paid for 3 years. and that cost me around $2,500 for 3 years. But I do have to mention one thing: there is a big difference between health insurance in India and health insurance in the US. Health insurance in India typically covers hospitalization only, and other things like visiting a specialist and things like that, you have to pay from your pocket, which is not much. Whenever I go to India, I do see specialists. I take all kinds of tests and things like that. Most specialists you can see for less than $30 per visit. So it's very, very cheap. So if you look at health insurance, $800 a month for regular monthly visits and things like that, prescription drugs, and so on, versus the $30 on top of the $2,500 for 3 year health insurance payment. I don't think it's even remotely comparable. Some of you might think that you're giving up on quality. I don't believe so. There are top-notch hospitals in Kochi. I've visited a couple of them. There is one hospital which is called the Astor Medical City, which is specifically designed for NRIs. If you go there, you can easily see doctors who are educated in the US, who have been doctors in the US and UK. It's very normal in India to see doctors who have practiced in Western nations. There are also many doctors in the US who actually go practice in countries like India for a month. I actually know someone who is married to a doctor, and she visits India. She spends 1 month a year in India, and she's a doctor in a very well-known medical facility outside of Philadelphia. Okay, so those are the three things. The fourth one is connectivity. So in my retirement, I want to travel within India and also around India, and if possible, on a rare occasion, go to Europe or some other countries. I haven't visited Africa at all, so that's a continent that I'm very interested in visiting, along with the rest of Asia. Visit countries like Thailand, Vietnam, Cambodia, China, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and so on. So interestingly, I looked at direct flights from Kochi. Kochi has over 30 flights a week to many countries in the Middle East, including Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Qatar, and also approximately 30 flights a week to Kuala Lumpur, Vietnam, and I forget, Thailand. So you can see that Kochi is extremely well connected. So if you can fly directly to the Middle East, let's say Dubai, Qatar, or Abu Dhabi, you can pretty much fly to any country in the world, because these three countries have world-class airlines like Emirates, Qatar, and I forget the Etihad. That's the flight airline belonging to Abu Dhabi. So once you fly to these countries, you can fly to any country in the world. So in that way, I think Kochi is a slightly better connected city than Philadelphia. Philadelphia has an international airport, but the Philadelphia airport is very expensive to fly out of. Most of us from Philly, we go to either Newark or Washington, D.C. when we are flying overseas. You can fly on for a, I don't want to say cheap, but fairly reasonable rates to within the U.S. from Philly, but Philadelphia is a bad choice when it comes to flying internationally. It's pretty expensive. There are direct flights to 2 or 3 countries that I am interested in. There is a direct flight to Dubai, actually, from Kochi, from Philly, and there is another direct flight to Rome. Italy is another country that I'm very interested in traveling to, but these direct flights are extremely expensive. But on the other hand, you can generally flying in India is a lot cheaper, and flying from India to other countries, particularly countries very close by, like countries in the Middle East and other parts of Asia, it's not that expensive. Okay, so and the last point is the general cost of living. Okay, so aside from mortgage and taxes and fees, what about the general cost of living? So I did a little bit of search on it, and the numbers that are provided are the general cost of living is somewhere from $1,500 to $2,500 depending on your neighborhood and your lifestyle and so on. So that is again pretty high. I would say in Kochi, you can easily live. I mean, aside from the mortgage and the taxes and everything, you can easily live on $400 a month. So $400 a month is about 40,000 rupees a month approximately, and that is a good enough for one person to live. But in my case, I have a family, so the numbers will be slightly higher. But overall, when I look at all these numbers, rent slash mortgage, taxes and fees, groceries, electricity, and so on, I'm very confident that I can live for under $1,000 a month, just not just for me, but for my family included. And this is for the city of Kochi. So I'm not talking about moving to Bombay or Delhi or Chennai, the huge metros which are much more expensive. But the second tier cities, I'm very confident that you can live for $1,000 or less now. Okay, so I do want to mention a few things. This doesn't mean that Philadelphia is not a great city or a good city to live or anything like that. I'm just talking about my personal situation when my income becomes a fixed income. So that is a great challenge, right? So in my case, Philadelphia is simply unaffordable, and US in general is unaffordable. It might not be the case for others. Some of you who have great numbers invested in the stock market, or you have houses that have increased in value dramatically and things like that. So for you, it might be different. But for me, I'm very comfortable looking at all the facts and saying that I'm much more, I can have a much more relaxed lifestyle. I don't have to worry about money. If I move to Kochi, I can still do the things that I want to do and live the life I want to live in Kochi without a great many sacrifices. So I want to know what you think about it. Please comment, subscribe. I'll try my best to respond to all of your comments. Thank you, and I will see you again in the next video.